everybody, and welcome to another Doctor Who review. This time it's an adventure from the 7th Doctor. Yes, here we are. We have a review today for Battlefield, starring the 7th Doctor, Sylvester McCoy. And I have here the television companion, as always, for classic reviews. Here we go with the plot synopsis. The TARDIS materialises in the English countryside near the village of Carberry, where a nuclear missile convoy under the command of Unit's Brigadier Winifred Bambera has run into difficulties. Lying on the bed of nearby Lake Vortigern is a spaceship from another dimension containing the body of King Arthur, supposedly held in suspended animation, and his sword Excalibur. Anselin, a knight from the other dimension, arrives on Earth to aid the king, but is followed by his rival Mordred and the latter's mother, a powerful sorceress named Morgaine. We all recognise the Doctor as Merlin, a fact that the Time Lord attributes to events in his own future. A battle breaks out between Unit and Morgaine's men. Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart has come out of retirement to assist in the crisis and ends up using silver bullets to kill the Destroyer, an awesomely powerful creature unshackled by Morgaine to devour the world, although he himself is almost killed in the process. Morgaine tries to fire the nuclear missile, but is overcome by shock when the Doctor tells her that Arthur is in fact dead, and she and her son are taken prisoner by Unit. So, Battlefield, the second story to be produced in season 26, but the first one to be broadcast. Written by Ben Aronovich, who is also the author of Remembrance of the Daleks, the highly rated 7th Doctor story from the season before. That's still to be reviewed as it currently stands on the channel. But overall, I've said before, I have 6 favourite McCoy stories and 6 not so favourite McCoy stories. And this seems that kind of stands consensus, there's 6 good, there's 6 bad. Battlefield for me is one of the 6 bad. It's not the worst of the 6 that I don't like as much, but it is the one I substitute for the Happy's Patrol as a good story. So the Happy's Patrol is one of my favourites, which is usually seen as one of the bad ones for most people, and I don't like Battlefield as much as others do. So I think it's probably because it's a little bit of a mess at times with the way it works. The plot line the idea is okay, this interdimensional Arthurian legend that we're playing on here. I like the idea of it, but some of the characters are acted terribly, I think is a polite way of putting it. Some of the plot lines, they're trying to do a kind of, they're there, some of them really are the worst successes of plotting for Doctor Who, in regards to the way they're just there as plot points and they don't really use much else. And that's the same with any series of Doctor Who. Never mind the classic stuff. It happens here. It's 4 episodes. It would have been better as 3, and maybe add an extra episode to something like Survival instead for this series. It's one of the 4-parters. It's better as 3 in my personal opinion. I think it's just a bit too padded out with its plot line. I think it deserves 3 more than 4, but that's my personal opinion here. But yeah, it's a muddled plot. It is muddled in the idea of it, and it kind of, I don't know whether it's time related to something, but the end just seems really rushed, really tellably rushed, and it doesn't seem right. And there's too many elements in there, and they could have cut out a few characters and it would have made a bit of a difference. But let's go into it and go through the characters as we see them. We've got the 7th Doctor by Sylvester McCoy, of course. The 7th Doctor by this point is getting into his stride. It certainly is a manipulative character that I love of the 7th Doctor. I love the fact that obviously he's blagging it. Most of it. He has no idea what's really happening. He's kind of got a nice sense of what's happening, but of course this is based on events in his future. And of course when we're talking about future in Doctor Who, it can be very muddied. This is not the first example of a future plot line for the Doctor that we don't see really the repercussions of in future stories. We've never seen a Merlin version of the Doctor yet. But that's something Chibnall might do with Whittaker or somebody else, you never know. Moffat certainly never did it properly in that respect, although he's probably the best candidate for that. But moving on. So yeah, this future timeline thing with the Doctor, nice concept, nice idea, and I do like the way McCoy plays. He plays it quite well. There is one scene that's kind of slightly grating, which I'm not quite fan of, and that's the bit where he's under psychic pressure from Morgaine, when Morgaine first speaks to them and he's holding the scabbard, and his pain face is one of the slight weaker points of McCoy, and I'm not going to turn around and say otherwise for that. There is elements where sometimes it doesn't work, and this is one of them where it doesn't quite work. And I think it's just the pacing and the way it's been done as well. It doesn't quite work for me in that respect. But apart from that, very solid performance from the Seventh Doctor, and one I still enjoy. And the reason why, it was one of my favourite stories. Why is my favourite Doctor from my list from last year. All the elements of what the Doctor should be are really in there, and I really do enjoy it. Sophie Aldred by Ace, plays Ace. Yeah, you can see that she's in the role now. This is very much the last story that Ace has where she's kind of a sideline character to a small extent. She is there, but the Doctor's really the focus here in this story, and his plot line against Morgaine and Mordred and Anselin and all that, and obviously the return of the Brigadier as well. It's the petulant child side that I didn't like. It's the side you see in Dragonfire and the side you see in some of the stories of season 25 that I don't like of Ace. And there's one scene which is the worst scene. That's what brings it down. I'll come back to that later, with her and Xiao Yung. And it's horribly acted. It's terrible. And I'll come back to that in a minute. So we've got Nicholas Courtney returning as the Brigadier. And it's a nice little view of the Brigadier. It's kind of like a... Yeah, he's the Brigadier character. You see it's a stiff upper lip. You see it's the character that we all know of the Brigadier, but he's kind of relaxed in the way he does things, and it's quite nice to see that characterization. He is utilised quite well. He is... it's a nice way of doing it, and you can see there's elements there potentially that the Courtney wanted it to be the last, and that's why he agreed, because that was the rumour. He did it because he thought that was going to kill off the Brigadier. It didn't happen, but you can see the elements leading up to that kind of fatalistic point of view the Brigadier has near the end. So you can see that. The best of the guest cast, Morgaine, played by Jean Marsh. Now, Jean Marsh, at this point in her career, obviously she was known more for Upstairs, Downstairs, and she was very well known in the production of different ideas around about this time of different stories. Obviously, Upstairs, Downstairs is one of her ideas, but House of Elliot she was about to create a couple of years later with Dame Aileen Atkins. But at this point, Jean Marsh is well known for her acting work, playing witches. She's just come fresh from playing the witch in Willow, the film that Warwick Davis stars in. So she has got that reputation of playing horrible old ladies at the moment. So she seems to be relishing in that part, and she does a good turn here as Morgaine. And the bit at the end where she's talking about her going with Arthur, remembering her time with Arthur when Arthur's revealed to be dead, is a little bit overplayed, but I do like the character overall, and I think it's a good little baddie enemy, and she works quite well the way she speaks and everything. I quite like that. One of the characters I don't really like is Mordred, played by Christopher Bowen. He hams it. He absolutely hams it. This bit where Mordred's trying to put the sword in to get Morgaine from one dimension to the other, his laugh is so grating. It's horrible, and it's part of the reason I don't like the story, is some of the acting in here just really puts you off. And his is just a terrible, hammy performance. On the other hand, his arch enemy, Anselin, played by Marcus Gilbert, is quite refined. I quite like the understated way. You can see he's an arrogant, he's got an arrogance to him, but it's kind of a pleasant arrogance. There's an arrogance you want to root for him for. And I do quite like the character. Then you've got Bambera, played by Angela Bruce, Brigadier Bambera. Initially, she's annoying. I'm big and mighty and high and mighty, and you will do what I say because I'm in charge, and she's losing control. And the plot she has with Anselin makes her better. I do prefer Bambera in the later part of the story than I do at the beginning. I think at the beginning she's really, really a ranty, shouty, majory type, and that's something the Brigadier... it's like she's trying to emulate Lethbridge Stewart, and obviously when Lethbridge Stewart comes along, she kind of realises his style and kind of mellows a little bit, and the love interest, and I say love interest, between Anselin and Bambera is okay, it's alright. Then we've got the lesser roles coming in here. We've got Peter Walmsley, played by James Ellis. He's probably the most prominent of the supporting cast outside what I've said already of the villagers. It's his dig where the nuclear convoy is stuck, and the battle scene around that, it works well for the battle scenes and the production of that for there. But his idea of doing the scabbard and activating the scabbard is probably the only good point about him. He's okay. He's just a standard character, really. Then you've got the Rowlandsons of Pat and Elizabeth. Elizabeth's more interesting because she's blind, and then Morgaine pays for Mordred's drinking in the hotel by restoring her sight. That's the only interesting really plot point of them. You've then got an interesting cameo for Lavelle from Dorota Ray, or Kwiatkowska, as she was known more professionally. She has just recently passed away, so that's why I've put a little mention here. Nice little turn as Lavelle, as the helicopter pilot, and then later on, obviously finding out, being used to be her brain information being sucked out by Mulgain to find out the strength of the forces, conventional forces. And then we've got the Destroyer, played by Mary Cowton, nice little token monster. He plays it okay. Slightly over the top at times. And then we've got one of the most annoying characters, Ling Tai's Xiao Yung. I don't like Xiao Yung. She seems to be an annoying teenager. Maybe because she was. But yeah, she grates worse than Ace. And she is part of the worst part of the story, the worst scene. Near the beginning of the first episode, Ace and Xiao Yung go outside to the benches once they've got their drinks. And Ace is talking about a bit of nitroglycerin, kind of nitro that she's created that's like in the form of plasticine, and she's talking about throwing it over her shoulder into some classes petunias, another class's petunias, and exploding, and just the whole boom bit. It's just badly directed, badly acted. I mean, it's really terrible. It's just every time I see that scene, I'm kind of going, oh god, come on, move on, let's get to the end about the plot. It's a juxtaposition to the fact there's a fight going on with Anselin and somebody else at that point near the TARDIS, and Anselin gets blown up and quite crudely flies through the air and hits the brewery barn at the back of the hotel, and that's all it's there for. But it just doesn't. The whole work between the two of it doesn't work, and I think Kev McCulloch's underscoring music doesn't really help with that. Speaking of the underscoring music, Kev McCulloch's good in some respects. There's some stories where it works, and there's some stories where it doesn't. It doesn't. Fortunately, it's the only one of the series that he does, because he doesn't do his previous effort with Silver Nemesis, and that was horrible. I don't like that, and I think he seems to have gone quite in a bombastic way, which I'm not really always keen on when it comes to bombastic. It kind of takes away from some of the plot elements and takes you away from some of the action a little bit in this, and this is another reason I'm not quite a fan of it, really. The direction is okay. It's a bit hammy at times. Michael Kerrigan is doing a lot of set pieces with explosions. They love explosions in Doctor Who at this point if they can get away with it. And I think this is the one where they used up the explosive budget for the year. But it's quite funny how the two biggest explosive episodes are seen, in my eyes, as two of the worst. The other one that's very big in explosions is Silver Nemesis. And that's horrible. I don't like that one either. But you'll see that later episodes, reviews, why I don't like that one. But yeah, the set pieces, it's a bit over the top at times with some of the direction and so forth. And I don't like the fighting that goes on here. The idea of the swords, of the armor mixed in with the modern guns, it's an interesting concept. It doesn't work really. The sword fighting's okay, I suppose. It's not something. Being a reenactor myself, I know that the sword fighting's not that realistic, but it works for what you need, and you get the feeling that they'd run over a little bit and they were catching up, because it does feel rushed at times, some of the stuff they're doing. But there's elements you could take out. You could take out the fact that you've got the plot bit for the blindness of... you could take out the fact that you've got the blind bit for... Elizabeth and the tab bit. You could take out the factor of the faffing about of the brig in his retirement with Doris, and I like that element to set the scene, but that could be taken away. There's the conversation bits where they're there set pieces to show the honour side of Mulgain's troops, but the bit in the World War Memorial, that bit could be removed. There's lots of elements that could be removed. There's some pub scenes you don't want. The bit with the destroyer in the pub, that could be curtailed a little bit. I think maybe the destroyer and the castle bit would be better. Just use that to bring him in and use that setting instead of using the hotel with Xiao Yung and Ace. There's elements here where you could cut it down possibly to 3 episodes and it would run a lot quicker, a lot better, a lot paced. It is a bit slow in the third episode, just a bit, but that's the nature of Doctor Who at that time, and it really does show in this one. Overall, I don't mind it, but it's not my favourite story. It is one of the worst ones. It's probably my 7th, 8th favourite of Doctor Who of that era, of the 7th Doctor era. It's not one of my favourites though, and it is quite low in my ratings. I would give this one 3 TARDISes out of 5. That's how much I rate it, or not, as the case may be. One of my lower ratings really for this. It's not the worst, but it's not the best either. It's right in the middle, and there's a lot of elements in there that I could basically don't want to watch again on a regular basis. It's not one of the ones I go back to on a regular basis of the 7th Doctor era. I would be more likely to go towards something like the Haps of Troll or Remnants of the Daleks than this one. So let's have a look and see how Battlefield stacks up against the rest of my reviews so far. So Battlefield currently sits at the bottom of the table. It isn't the worst story in Doctor Who history. There are other stories that are worse than that, but they've still to come in the reviews. However, at the top, the Happy's Patrol still is the best story. So quite ironically, McCoy is topping and tailing my list of stories at the moment. The Happy's Patrol follows on with Inferno, Day of the Doctor and the Case of Androzani, all on 4.5 TARDISes out of 5. That's it. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you have been watching, don't forget to like this video. If you do share it, don't forget to share it with the hashtag teamstructor. Comment down below, what are your points and views of Battlefield? What do you like? What do you not like of Battlefield? And don't forget to check out the playlist of all the other reviews up there. And also, if you like what you see here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when a video comes out. In general, there is a video every Sunday at 4 PM GMT, but there is a video other times of the week as well, sometimes. So hit the notification bell so you know when a video does come out. But until next time, thank you very much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you then. See you later.